Will the today's agenda? Tonight's agenda?
I'll second.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm new at this. Who just approved first? That was me. Thank you.
It's just initials.
Chelsea seconded.
First and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we've approved the agenda. And let's start off today's meeting with the Principals Recognition Award. I'd like to invite Scott Lloyd, assistant for that, principal of Greenville.
Okay. Hello to the board and members of district staff. It's a pleasure to be here and privilege to honor one of our students. You want to see the student while you're talking? Let's have Kinley. So Kinley is a 5th grade student at Chester Elementary School. Her mother Amy is here with us this evening, along with her brother and sister as well. And so we're very fortunate to have her here. A few words from Kinley's teacher. And by the way, Mrs. Gibbs, her 5th grade teacher, is here in the back. So we're glad to have her here. Here are some of the great things that she had to say about Kinley. Kinley is very conscientious, incredibly responsible, very respectful to staff and peers. She is very empathetic. Means she cares deeply for others, for their feelings. Kinley has rolled into 5th grade with confidence and grace. She is sensitive to others, very helpful in implementing classroom procedures and routines by being a role model. She is a rule follower, which is always a pleasure in a classroom. She's very high academically, a great big buddy to younger students. She loves to compete in anything from schoolwork to board games, just about anything out in the playground too. The Robbins family has been a great addition to our school this past year, and we're grateful to have them here and with the larger CES family. And we're fortunate to be a part of things with their kids, and it's been an honor to have them. So Kinley Robbins. Congratulations. Yeah, here we go. Flying.
Well done.
She's good. She can go over and under. Okay. Okay. We got that.
On the, no, so Will, good job. But I haven't been able to see anything on the screen this whole time. Yeah. Or the YouTube.
Just looking for ways to make this even unforgettable.
Yeah.
I just feel like this is gonna fall.
Oh, hang on.
Sorry.
This does not. She said it. There we go. Now it's there. Okay. Oh,
Thank you,
it's
Mr.
right in the
Lloyd.
team that way.
I know, but this does not look steady, you guys. These are expensive.
Adjustment.
All right, how's that?
Better.
Better?
These skills.
Oh, there's the icon. Okay. We're good.
All right. Next, I'd like to invite up the Chester High School Principal, Kevin Cooper.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. I'd like to introduce Sarah Branch. She is my selection. And obviously, she's a very busy person. So her parents are here. She and Jennifer, big benefactors to the school, helping all the time. Sarah's taking after their lead. We're working on student leadership this year, and I've heard nothing but positive things about Sarah. Not only is she a top student, she's a top performer in anything she does. And she gets to basically help reform the school, remodel the school, reinvigorate the school with the student leadership. And she's taken that charge very well. She had an event she helped Mr. Watkins with this morning, the 9/11 Memorial, and was running the show perfectly calm. She's got that factor about you. We want to help train students to be leaders, and they need to do that by experience. And she's doing this just amazingly. I've only been here a short time, and I'm so impressed. She's basically #1 in her class, 3-sport athlete, and I really appreciate her. I really, you're doing a lot of great things that we see down there. Thank you, sir.
What's the one?
Like to, we're gonna move forward with our teacher feature. I'd like to invite up Mr. Watkins.
I don't know what I'm doing here. So I am so happy to be here today. Very nice to see you guys. Happy that some of you traveled all the way up here. I'm excited to lead as the PSD director, the class, as well as some of activities. For the most recent activity this morning, we were hoping that you would be able to come in and walk through and experience what the kids did this morning. It was incredible. Along with Chelsea, the staff, we had a fire department, sheriff, Blue Star moms. We had great stories. Kids were able to walk through this 9/11 in the numbers. And basically what they did, again, 23 years ago is pretty incredible that it's happened 23 years ago. And not only do we have none of our students were born, but a lot of our teachers were really, really young. I was teaching, so you could age me there. But as a teacher, I want to have them remember this. It's got to be something that, and as a history teacher, obviously, but they cannot forget some of the things that brought our countries together. And that was my big push today in my history classes. Yeah, we lost a lot of people, but what happened and why? And so Sarah, along with the rest of the SB kids, were a big part of putting 2,979 flags in the ground. So there's almost 3,000 flags out there for every single person that was lost that day. That's not the only people that were lost. There were a lot more afterwards. It's been 23 years and things are still happening because of what happened that day. So it was great to listen to the kids because they don't know about it. And some of our teachers don't know about it. And they were really young. So I think it was important. It was something that I brought from my Southern California experience as a teacher from Southern California coming up. I've done it. This is the 3rd year that we've done it. We want to keep doing it. It's such an inspiration. And with Kevin Cooper's go ahead, he's kind of said, let's go, let's make a new group of great leaders. And so I'm really pushing the envelope. We're doing a Halloween maze again. We're doing rallies every other weekend, every other Friday, we're doing rallies. Kids are really excited. Our first rally was greatly successful. It's going to be a really fun and exciting year at Chester. Our athletics are doing fantastic. Sarah was also CF champion for last year's basketball team, just so you know. And then we have had such a great response in the first 3 weeks of school. And so we hope to just keep pushing that with great leadership with Megan and Kevin, and the staff is doing amazing. We're fully staffed for the time in a very long time. So I'm so excited to be a part of the leadership team and then hopefully have you guys watch us and see how much we grow and how much we succeed. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I'm not going to crowd that. Thank you. You're a private thought.
So maybe. Yeah, so we'll just say.
Let's invite her next month when we're in Greenville, it's close.
Okay.
That's a great idea. I love
And
that
then we
idea.
can come and swear her in and say, you'll sit up with everyone. We can make it, and Greenville's got a lot of room. We can put an extra seat up there for that meeting.
Great.
Thank you. That's a very fantastic
Because
idea.
we won't have a high school representative there.
That's right.
So we'll bring her to Greenville.
Sounds good. Yeah, what we're talking about is that normally we'd introduce and I guess swear in the student representative to the governing board representing this community, but they were not able to be here today. So we're gonna do it next month. Is that?
And it should be noted, she's not here because she's an advisor at Fred.
Yeah.
So she's outdoor.
Part of our outdoor program. Love that.
All right.
And
Public
technology
input,
wouldn't let us do
this is time and place for public input, public comment. Did we receive any?
No, we haven't.
Anyone here wanted to say something at all or comment? Okay, then we'll move on. So we have, our next item is governing board review of a candidate for the appointment to represent trustee area 1, which is currently occupied by Jolene Klein. And could you maybe outline it just a little bit, sir?
Yeah, so what we have is a very, very busy public servant who has worked for our district for a long time in terms of serving Portola area, and she missed the deadline. And so we opened, once that happens, we then have to appoint, because it fell in the magic number of, no election needed, but we missed the deadlines. And so we have the opportunity to appoint, and Jolene so graciously has put in her application and agreed to continue serving trustee area 1.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Did we get to interview her like you did me? Is that-
Well, we got track
All right.
record.
Yeah, and we weren't so sure about you, so we.
Okay, closed session was 2 minutes.
And she was our only candidate that actually lived in Portola. One applied, but they lived in Lebec.
So do we need to take a vote on it, or how do we?
Yes, you'll have to, when you appoint a candidate, you have to have a motion
Okay.
and a second and then a vote.
Okay.
So moved.
I will second.
Okay, we have a first and a second on the provisional appointment of a board member to represent trustee area 1, and that person is Jolene Klein. We have a first and a second, like I said. All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed?
I'll abstain. It seems funny to vote for this.
And we have one abstention for this, her. So, motion carries, and congratulations.
Thank you. Welcome back.
We will swear you back in December at the December meeting. Should be noted, we have no applicants for the Greenville trustee area, and so we will continue to recruit. And
Yeah, and just for further information, additional information, not just my term, but her term does expire. I think that second Wednesday or whatever it is in December, and so, you'll just jump back in there, right? Okay. Okay, thank you very much. So we're good to go there. Student achievement, I'd like to invite, you're handling it? So-
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're seeking approval on the 24-25 course catalog. It is a living, breathing document, so a new class that we added this year, the CTE course, cultivation of native species. Rachel is enhancing our CTE program tremendously, so we'll be adding more classes. Her and I are gonna tag team some cleanup, making sure course codes are correct. So when you look in here, the page numbers don't align yet, and that's because we're still working on it, but we are seeking approval for it.
We'll move to approve.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second to adopt the course catalog for 24-25. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Proposition 28 spending report is next up.
Yeah, so last year, Chrissy Warren presented Prop 28 to our governing board, and it provides funding to increase access to art and music in our schools. At the time, for that grant, they wanted us to spend 80% on personnel and 20% on materials and supplies. So we applied for a waiver. So we did not spend any of the funds last school year because we were waiting for the waiver to come through. It just recently came through. So Mallory and I are working on a budget for that to share out. So we are required to get approval on our spending plan, and we did not spend any money.
it should be noted, the 80% is for new positions. That's why we couldn't spend it. We didn't have any newly created visual performing arts or positions.
And the same amount will get to carry to the next year.
It's an apportionment, not an allocation, so we'll receive that off of our principal apportionment annually.
Thank you. Is there an action item on that?
I'm just seeking approval on the spending plan.
It is an action item.
Looking for a first and a second.
Second.
Do you have a first? and-
I'll have a first then.
Oh, I thought. Who's on first?
I know.
Last week.
I was like,
Okay.
wow, jump on that.
With the appropriate motions on the table, all of those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it passes. Now it's time for a CTE update. Let's have that.
So I'm gonna have a handout, it's not. We'll go to it right away, but.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Dangerous collection of things.
That has some. Okay, thank you for letting me be here today. My name is Rachel Mulsey and I am the CTE program supervisor. And I get the honor of just highlighting our CTE program, where we're currently at, our successes, and then where we hope to go and how we hope to get there. So the current CTE programs that we have, and by current, I mean complete pathways. So part of what we've done last year as a team, we've looked at our CTE courses and said, okay, do we have a concentrator? Because each course has to have, a pathway has to have two courses, a concentrator and a capstone. And then we'll get completers. And so we've looked through our pathways, and these are the pathways that will give us completers once we have our students going through them. So right now, our current pathways are Ag Mechanics, and they are at Chester and Quincy. Design, Visual Arts and Media, that's Chester, Portola, and Quincy. System Diagnostics, Service and Repair, it's our auto shop, that's at Quincy, and we brought that back last year. Patient Care here in Chester. We have Agri-Science in Quincy. We have Forestry and Natural Resources in Quincy, and that's what Missy was talking about with the new course, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. We have food service and hospitality at Portola and Quincy, and then we have cabinetry, millwork, and woodworking. So those are the solid pathways that we have in place right now. Is that a question or no? Okay. All right. And so the first thing I want to talk about is I just want to talk about the celebrations that have happened over the last couple of years. I have taken the torch from Gina Pixler, who did a great job in this position, and have really worked really hard to just kind of say, let's build strong pathways, and then let's elaborate where we go. So the first thing, this first exciting thing is that this year we have our first dual enrolled course. We're with FRC right now, and it's the culinary course. And so that was pretty exciting because we haven't had a dual course yet. Our students have been hired directly from our pathways to the field, and Camille McNeil here, she teaches our health science. She has a fantastic story of the kids that were in her health science course doing the work study and ended up being hired right here in their community. And that's what we go for, right? That's so our students are gaining their leadership skills through what we call CTSOs. And our CTSOs are career and technical student organizations. So FFA, Skills USA. And this is such a vital part of our basically tripod that we teach our students these 3 different skills, and we're going to talk about that too. Because every year every month, I'm having these conversations with our community members. What do you need? And they're saying, we need our students to be able to show up and have the professional skills, right? Show up on time, be respectful. I can teach them everything else. This is what we need. So our CTOs are such a vital part of that, in teaching that leadership skills, and teaching them just taking responsibility, things like that. So we've also seen professional training, making sure that our teachers are up to date on our industry skills as things change, so they can bring those skills back into the classroom. We've seen our auto shop return at Quincy High School. We've seen the health pathway here at Chester is kind of blazing the way. We have some new funds, which we're really excited about. Health is a high need in all of our districts. And so we have some new funds that we're going to be able to implement health pathways in Quincy and Portola now. And Chester's been blazing away in that, so we'll be able to enhance that program. FFA and agriculture returned back to Quincy High School last year as well. Our culinary program has grown in Portola. And last but not least, we are continually working on getting our courses A to G approved, which means they are taking CTE ag science courses and getting science credit. They are taking their graphic design course and getting art course, right? Art credit. And the most exciting here is our ag program, our ag mechanics in both Chester and in Quincy is our second year. So our concentrator course is now considered an art course, which is really exciting. The things that they're kicking out of there and the things that
Explain what that is. What are ag mechanics?
yeah, great question. Egg mechanics is just the dynamic course that offers, if you think of anything that they're going to need on the farm, right? So they're doing the mechanics part of it, they're doing building, they're working on tractors there. So it's just all encompassing of what will they be needing in these areas. And one of the projects that they're doing in their second project is, or in their second course, is they are starting to help them say, but this can also be art, right? We're welding and we've seen this, right? And so we've been able to get that EG approved for art. Okay, next. So I think that begs a question.
What is that A to G requirement? What does that process look like?
Yeah, fantastic question. It depends on which course it is, but essentially what we need to do is we need to make sure that our curriculum is stay aligned and they are following the curriculum that's going to both count for CTE as well as that course. And it's really laid out and we can go and we can look at other examples and say, this is exactly what we're trying to do. And then it's a process that Missy and I go through and submit and make sure that it's approved.
The A to G guidelines are from the UCCSU system.
Yeah.
So they say if it's going to count as an art credit, you have to cover X, Y, and Z. So we have to, when CTE is very tricky because the model CTE standards and the UCCSU standards kind of go like this. They don't always line up, so you really have to flex them and make them work.
And so you're looking at those items this year to be able to offer next year. It's not something that's fluid right now. Or
We've been working on this. We started it last year and we're going to kind of show this, but it's going to depend on the pathway where they're at.
Okay.
So yeah, so last year we started the work on our ag mechanics courses so that we could get those, and those were approved this year. And now we're going to continue in our other areas such as the healthcare.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess that begs the question, right? Where are we going? What's the goals here in CTE? And so when I came in last year, I think my first goal straight up was learn the job, right? I needed to know the nuances of it and see where we were at. And then the primary goal became enhancing and building strong pathways, like teaching to fidelity and integrity what we have. And then once we have these strong pathways, then we can start expanding. So that's been the focus last year, and that has involved communication with our principals, with our counselors, with our teachers, clarifying, making sure everyone is on the same page. They understand what pathways are being offered, and then we're clearly communicating to our students what the pathway is available and how they go about it. And so that's kind of the next phase of that. And secondly, the second part of that is we have some funds specifically in healthcare and in education for those pathways. And so those are in the waiting right now, and we're going to start to develop those. We've been in communication, and now we're going to start to really lay those out specifically at Portola, at Chester, and at Quincy as well. So
The funds that are available for staffing, for materials, for all of it?
yes, yeah.
Wow.
Yep, they're grants. Bill's before I came on, Bill's done a great job. He wrote some fantastic grants, and then I kind of got a hold of his vision and stepped inside that and said, okay, let's see what we can do. And so he wrote some phenomenal grants for our education, our healthcare, that we were going to work with our local hospitals and see what pathways we can develop, and with our local colleges as well.
And the healthcare also included the dental field, is that correct?
Yeah, and that's what Chester is kind of blazing the way in.
Yeah, and that was our success, by the way. We had a dental assistant or I'm not sure if that was her title, but anyway, she got hired to work at the dentist office, which was amazing.
Yeah, she came out of that dental assistant program.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, that was a huge success.
Yeah.
So that finally leads to then how do we do it, right? Like those are great goals, but they're not much unless we have them. And that's what I gave you. I'm not going to overwhelm you necessarily with all the nuances of it, but seeing the big picture, right? The first part of that was building a strong foundation. If we can build strong pathways and we know what they look like, then we can expand and those pathways will be strong. If we have a weaker foundation, when we expand, those pathways will be strong. So what's that strong pathway look like? Well, for right now, the things we've been discussing, right? State standards. We also want to bring in our work studies or our work-based learning, and we want to bring in college enrollment. And our chancellor is definitely wanting to get that dual college enrollment. So we want to follow that vision too. So those college credits. So this is essentially the phases that our team has developed for our CTE pathways. And the reason that we moved into phases rather than a year phase, rather than putting into a time frame, is every pathway is going to be in a different phase. So we have pathways that are in the gates right now, ready to be developed. We have pathways right now that are first time dual enrollment, right? So if we look through these phases, the first one building that foundation, the pathway enrichment, that's going to include the dual enrollment, the work study, and then the expansions, right? Okay, so now we have these solid pathways. Now we can reach out to the community, do our industry requests, like what is it industry needs, what is it we need, and then we can expand. So there's not necessarily a time frame as much as let's make some solid pathways. So, any questions? Yeah.
What is the sustainability of the grant? So is it like a timed grant, or is that we have to keep reapplying, or what does that look like? Like we bring on people and we get built these programs and then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great question. It depends. So right now we have a couple grants that are, their whole goal is to sustain CTE. Okay, so those ones we're applying for every single year. We do have some new grants or grants that will say, hey, look, we want to help you get started. And then you need to figure out how to sustain it. And so that is in our grant writing. That is a part of our process. Like, this is the plan. This is how we hope to sustain this. So I don't write a grant without saying, hey, can we sustain this? Right. So it's a collaborative effort to have that in your plan of district. These are coming in. A lot of it, I do want to say too, it doesn't necessarily cover the teacher's salary, but a lot of the goal for CTE programs is to generate their own funds, right? So like, let's look at culinary, it's expensive and our costs for food have gone up. And so they are running culinary programs to self-generate and sustain as well. And so they have some things within themselves. Yeah, good question. Anything else? All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
So you're looking very good.
Okay, moving on. To our fiscal matters, interfund transfers.
Yeah, so every year we ask that the board adopts the resolution, PCOE 2425 and PUSD 1655 to allow the interfund borrowing between child development, general fund, Measure B, just really to protect our cash flow. And so, you know, when we have payments coming in that are 2.5, 3 years behind, we can still make all of those monthly obligations. So on the county side, I think it's information only. On the district side, I ask to approve 24 to 6. I'm sorry, I'm just looking to see,
But wouldn't we,
1655.
wouldn't we need to approve though, the PCOE because of us approving the budget?
Well, the budget's information only for PCOE, and so
Oh,
I
okay.
think this interfund borrowing is also interfund, but it also has. No, it's okay. I was just looking at the form because it looks exactly like the USD's.
Yeah, it does, so you don't need to vote right here.
I mean, there's no.
We can
harm.
do it if.
There's no harm, right?
That's safe.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is, no,
So I'll move to adopt resolution 2425-01 for the Plumas County Office of Education for the interfund transfer.
second. I believe this is a roll call.
It is roll call.
Klein.
Aye.
Edlin.
Aye.
Harrison.
Aye.
Keller.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
I will move to
Next
adopt.
up is 1655.
Jumped ahead. I will move to adopt resolution 1655. Go ahead.
I'll second.
Okay, first and a second, this is again a roll call vote.
Klein.
Aye.
Edlin.
Aye.
Harrison.
Aye.
Keller.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Okay, that one passes as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. We're getting back to developer fees, this month, and, first up is we have, the developer fee justification studies.
So as we discussed last month, we had group out of Sacramento Capital PFG, Public Finance Group, sorry. Conduct developer fee study for us to find out if, as a county, we're justified to charge developer fees on both commercial and residential projects. And that study did prove that we are eligible for that. And so our next steps are we're going to have a public hearing to discuss. And then we have the resolution on here to approve, resolution 1654. And then we also have the board policy and the AR to approve. And then once that is approved, Capital PFG will then go to work with the county and 60-day moratorium before they're implemented. We looking for the public hearing, and then we'll move forward unless anyone has any questions.
What is the purpose of the 60-day moratorium?
One, it's not fair to do what people have been planning. And two, there's paperwork that we have to do, but we have to let the county know they have to adjust forms. It's logistical. But the biggest thing is you don't want to pull the wool, the rug out from anybody who's planning a project. They've got everything, all their financing set in stone, and then they walk into the building department tomorrow and say, oh, by the way, you owe $5.25 per square foot that they were prepared for.
Can we recap the fees really quick, just so it's completely clear? I'm reading it now, and it explains about residential construction or industrial construction at a maximum of 84 cents per square foot. That's for commercial or
For
industrial,
commercial.
right? And didn't we, sorry, I should have asked probably 3 weeks ago, but on the residential side, there's a square footage that isn't affected by this, or is that right? A minimum square footage, or we didn't do that?
No, it is. Let's see if I can.
Additional.
It's for, so the square footage, you charge for everything if it's new and it's permitted. And
And
then,
that's $5.17 a square foot?
yes,
Okay,
and then, if it's a rebuild. And
That's
it's
right.
the same square footage, so loss in natural disaster, or even like a home fire, or anything like that. And they have a rebuild, as long as it's the same size, there's no charge. And then if they increase the size of the home, then there is only a charge on the increase.
okay,
But if, say, a 3,600 square foot home burned down and they put 3 units on the lot, then they'll be responsible for all 3,600 because it's a change in the footprint.
okay, so I'm assuming this is the recommendation of PFG based on
how these work, and there's probably a boilerplate of terminology in here. But we had talked about the potential of saying if you were building something under like 1,400 square feet, this wouldn't apply. And we're not, that didn't make it into this final.
No, it's,
Okay.
it's not a boilerplate, it's
It's what fits our county. Okay.
oh, yeah.
I had one other question. It says, by the maximum of $5.17, are there criteria that we ever wouldn't charge that rate? Is there a
So-
scale or something?
In the presentation, it's a very long, it's basically an algebra problem. And it boils down to the cost of providing facility per student on the amount of growth projected. So for us, we were projecting growth of, I think it was 200 and change children.
Mhm.
And then provide so much per square foot based on what we have and what the cost is. It breaks down to our actual maximums, it's like $7 in that range, but 5,
Is where we're capped.
that's where the state is right now.
Okay, so is that an annual? I had a couple developers ask and I didn't know how to answer the question, so I'm sorry.
No,
I've already- I might be
very good
boring
question.
you.
No, you're not at all.
So is it a per year set formula or every building permit will get recalculated?
No, it's set for 4 years.
Okay,
We reevaluate it 4 years. We then can either, if we're eligible to improve or to increase, then we can increase at the leisure of the board. Or we can hold the same, or if we are to find out that by doing this, it truly does inhibit building, we can put a moratorium on it and cease charging. It's it gets revisited when the state reestablishes their limits. And then it comes to the board periodically, I think it's every 4 years. For reapproval. It is not something that's just set in stone, it's here forever. We always have the right to undo it, and if we just find it just absolutely puts a clamp on building development, we say we can't do this to our people, we can hold a meeting and we can suspend it immediately if needed.
right. And that scenario is even just hard to wrap your brain around when you're looking at the numbers right now in Plumas County. I think your minimum, for almost like an owner build is like $275 a square foot, and your high end, is over $400 a square foot. In Tahoe, it's more like 700 or 800 per foot, which some people are moving from our area, moving to our area from that, are shocked that we're still below $500 a square foot. So it's all over the place. But when you think about an owner builder at 275, we're moving at $5. It's only 2%.
And Chris
Very
Terry,
little.
Capital, he's been doing this for a long time. This is the first time he said he's ever done a district doing an initial fee. He didn't realize, aside from the work he did with us in, I think 19, that there were still districts in California that didn't charge. So it's very, very rare.
So you can say how many there are that don't, just that there's very few.
Very few. I asked him a specific number, he didn't know, because there's tons of organizations that did it. Probably do.
Building has slowed down substantially, but I'm still sorry that it wasn't something that we did 8 years ago.
Yeah.
But we're doing it now.
Yes. So I also had some folks ask, but just in the last couple of days. I really don't feel comfortable making or voting yes to this. I would ask that we table it for 30 days until the next board meeting to give those people an opportunity to truly ask the questions or be present. That would be my recommendation.
Like we've already done that. We've already moved it forward once. I can go either way, but I'm ready to vote.
Well, I guess I'm curious on what, if it's somebody new coming in and they're choosing not to, and that's why, if we're talking somebody who's looking to, a large developer is looking to come here and they're hearing about it going, whoa, maybe we're not gonna come, then I'd like to revisit it, but if it's just a couple of residential, folks that are just worried, or contractors, on a couple homes that they're building, I can understand the concern, but, I also feel because if we keep putting it off and we didn't even have it before, that I don't think there's any reason for us not to have it, maybe have a discussion about how much we're charging, which, like you said, it's barely 2%.
Sure. Yeah, I really don't necessarily have a problem with that, if in fact everything we know right now to be true is true.
Oh, okay,
That's all.
And what have we done? I mean, I know we've had it at 3 board meetings. So have we done any other type of outreach with this?
We've put it in the Mountain Messenger. We've actually spent a Mountain Messenger for 2 months now. Because we
Legally,
advertised it
had
the
to
first
do that,
time,
Yeah,
and then we had to re-advertise it for this.
really unfortunate we don't have a Plymouth County paper anymore.
Yeah, and it has to go in print.
Right.
Publishing in the Plymouth Sun doesn't satisfy the requirement.
and there is a revisit every, you said 4 years. So it's not a permanent for the next 100 years either, so it should something need to be revisited because our society circumstances have changed, then we have that opportunity. And I don't, can we make a change of less? Not that I want to, but
Not, the resolution is, what's been flown, so if we were to change with the agenda, so if we were to change the resolution, then we have to bring it back in another month and go through the whole process of refining.
Yeah, and historically, there was a time when this type of matter would have been covered by the Feather River Bulletin and quite a bit. You know, through no fault of our own, that obviously that avenue doesn't exist any longer. And I don't know if the public perception would be any different if there was that was present, but it isn't. So I think we've done a good as job as possible of reaching out to the community, letting them know this is something that's being considered and voted on in the future, and the future is now. And
it's my opinion that I think the largest group we were trying to protect was the community that was rebuilding, and their fail-safe is in here. If those families are rebuilding their homes, they don't get charged, and only if they increase their square footage. And, you know, that was, I think, the number one concern we were trying to address, is to make sure that those families weren't being punished, if you will, because they didn't lose their house on their own. They're just trying to rebuild.
and that's for future too, so.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Okay.
the part of this that makes the most sense to me is that we have this huge Measure B project, and we did this incredible step up and brought our facilities up to a new level. A lot of them was just restoration, but it wasn't beyond that. It was just getting them back to a quality facility, some with air conditioning, things like that were really just needs. They weren't the fancy wants. They were mostly needs when you look across the board. And I don't want to let that fall into disrepair again, but even more than that, the next time we make a step up, I want it to be a true step up. And what I calculate, it's on a $275 square foot home, it's 0.0188. It's not a big number at all. And I think that the way that I can sell it, or that I can explain it, is that, you know, again, the schools are the heart of our community, and this is how we make sure that continues. That, you know, we want you, we invite you, please build in our community, come live here, be part of this group, this grand group, and help us make sure that the schools stay up to your expectation. So that's where I'm coming from.
Because it's also for resale, so if they build and they want to resell and a young family wants to come in, our facilities have to be, yeah, we're bringing their children here.
Yeah.
So I can see that evolution happening over too, that would be good.
I think the other thing that's important to realize is if a large developer came in and built a set of tract homes somewhere, you know, like you see down the valley, they don't get charged developer fees, but because we have developers and fees in place, that triggers them to come in and say, can we negotiate? And so with developers, and the way Chris Terry explained it is, someone comes in, they're going to build 1,000 homes, then you set up, you know, an agreement where they're going to invest this much into the infrastructure. If they're building so many that it looks like it's going to cause a new school, and instead of charging them developer fees, they have to build a school. It would then open negotiations up with that group to you'll be able to support the impact they're going to make on the school system.
We can decide what we want to do.
We have to open the
After-
hearing, right?
After the public hearing, which I think we have a legal obligation to move forward with. And just know that we did have a public hearing last month, and in the interest of transparency and making sure we're doing the right thing, we're having a second public hearing on this matter tonight. And this is the time and place for a public hearing. Governing Board of the Plymouth County Office of Education and PUSD are conducting this public hearing in accordance with Education Code 17620, which specifically authorizes the school district to levy fees against any development project for the construction or reconstruction of school facilities providing that the district can show justification for such fees. So at this point, I'm going to open the public hearing.
Now, was it 4:52, Megan? Got a report time?
There being no one stepping forward to comment, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And now we're going to take a look at the POC resolution 1654. And I'll entertain a motion of some sort from somebody.
I'll move to adopt resolution number 1654 so that we can have discussion.
I'll second.
We have a first and we have a second. And I believe this is also a roll call vote.
Yes.
So
Jody, do you think that somebody will bring an argument to why we would reconsider this?
I think it's a possibility. You know, I feel like it's unfortunate, again, things that were already said that, you know, we don't have more way to get the word out. And, you know, I just want to make sure that what we've been led to believe is fact. And so Bill saying that we could, you know, we've learned that there's other elements that they didn't understand and we're going to put this on hold. Because we didn't understand that, gives me just a little more comfort.
Okay. And I don't think we have to wait 4 years. I think we can adjust up every 4 years, but we can do something else.
Yeah, it's our policy. We can suspend whatever we want. We can suspend whenever.
So it's just we can increase every 4 years or the
Yeah.
opportunity
The
to.
opportunity
does that make it
increase,
better?
stay the
I think
same.
so.
Okay.
Suspend.
Okay.
And that is fact.
Yeah.
Like I said, if we feel we can evaluate this in 12 months. And if we feel that there's been feedback or we've collected feedback that I was gonna build a house, but now I'm not because of this, we can come back the year and evaluate it because we have to report every year to the board, that was part of this presentation, what we've collected. And so we can do a feedback report as well, stating, you know, this is what we've heard, this is what we haven't, and at that point, as board say, you know what, we'll suspend. We think this is slowing growth, and we have that right.
And in the first and the second, I assume we're waiving the complete reading of the resolution.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a first and we have a second, and it's a roll call vote.
Klein,
Aye.
Edlin,
Aye.
Harrison,
I,
Heller,
Aye.
Reed, aye.
Okay, it sounds like it passes. And then there's a third part of this, sir,
Yes, for us,
or two parts.
it's our board policy and our administrative regulation, how we implement this. We did not create these, as always, I went to CSBA, said, give us your latest and greatest, this is what we're doing. They had a newly updated version of the policy and have provided that for us here. We're looking for approval of BP and NAR 7211 to finish our implementation of this.
So let's take up AR 7211 first.
Move to approve, AR 7211.
I'll second.
There's a first and a second, all of those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes, and the next part is board policy 7211 for developer fees.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
There's a first and there's a second, all of those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, those pass. Thanks.
Thank you.
And superintendent, no, I'm sorry, skipping over something here. Measure B, project update.
Yes, so we have, our project update, Measure B, we have one. It's, the continued work out at, Portola High School. Removal of an old, trough in the football concession stand. Installing new plumbing, new stainless steel trough. My understanding is what was in there was quite gross. And, so, the cost on that is, I think it went in when the building went up. So about $2,800. So that's our Measure B, looking for approval.
First, we need a first and a second to essentially ratify the superintendent's.
Yeah, it was under threshold.
I'll move to approve.
I was like, oh, sorry.
First and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes and facility update.
Facility contracts, we have three. We have repair the bar unit in the CRC office space. We gave approval on that, because we wanted to get that done prior to school starting. Then we have.
What is a bar unit?
Has to do with AC.
Okay.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
Outside of that, my knowledge is very.
Yeah. I never
Rob
heard of
called
that
and said
before.
we need to get this done.
Okay.
So, okay. Then we have, the surface preparation, cut and install of all the really neat decals and door skins you see at Portola High School now. And then we have change order for HMR Architects, for the Greenville, fire restoration project at the ball field. They're doing some more engineering for us, and so that will actually go to, we'll pay it, but that goes to the insurance company.
Are
Okay,
the,
so it
the
says
skins
routine.
one of those that?
We put it in routine general maintenance. I'll come to you
Yeah,
and
sorry.
answer Leslie's question,
Right.
but then we
Insurance
submit the
company.
invoice
Yeah.
to the insurance company, and I met with the insurance company last week.
Yep.
They know it's coming.
The skins, are those one of those reflective ones, so it's also helping with our, like.
Does all
our
sorts of,
bill.
yeah,
you know what I
it
mean? Okay,
it reduces, glare, reduces
UV.
the heat coming through the UV.
Cool.
And gives a real cool vibe to the school campus as well.
Sounds very interesting.
So looking for approval of facility contract.
Before we go there,
So question.
is there any, item number 2 here? Is there any relation?
There is, and what we do anytime, right now, Leo Construction is the only one that has any time to work for us, and that's because he works at night and on the weekends on his own time to help the school out. But before we approve anything with Leo Construction, Sarah calls a number of contractors, gives them the project. Do you have time to bid this? Can we get this work done? And we get in writing that they can't, even if they say no, like, will you provide that to us?
Want to make sure we're being transparent as well.
We do, and then, because Missy's an employee of the district, she fills out the form 7.
Still in the process.
Everything is
Sounds
transparent.
good. Okay,
Thank you.
so I guess we're looking for approval.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
There's a first, there's a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes. And we have a superintendent's update finally.
Getting there. So to start, I'd like to thank Mr. Cooper and his team for welcoming us to the meeting tonight. I know any change in routine on a campus can be disruptive. So thank you to Kevin and team for accommodating our needs tonight. Our school sites are off to a great start. I am deeply grateful for the hard work and dedication of the staff and their leadership as they work alongside each other. Their efforts have ensured an excellent start to the school year, and I commend all of the schools for their hard work in getting us started this year. And I'd like to thank Ms. Moran and the cabinet team and principals who have been at their sites and been in the district through COVID for bearing through a long and arduous process of appeals that we had with the 2021 or the 2021-22 audit. The state had disallowed about a month's worth of attendance, and our schools complied. They did everything over and above what they were supposed to do, and it wasn't good enough for our auditor. And we knew we had what we needed, we kept digging more information up. And we finally ended up, in a legal hearing against the California Attorney General and the California State Controller's Office. And if you're not LA unified, when you go into one of those, generally it's, you don't shore up real well. And, we had our documentation, we had a good argument, our attorneys did a great job. And with that being said, we won our appeal without prejudice. Everything was dismissed prior to the hearing in October, we signed that agreement. And so, it couldn't have happened without us believing in the team, what they had done. And so just very proud of the group and the perseverance that we did going through this. We're starting my 3rd year as superintendent. This is the best start of the school year we've had. And so I'm very grateful for that and all the hard work everyone's done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else, sir? Well, yeah, policy updates, but any,
No, that is our, I believe that is our update there. Unless I'm forgetting something, Dave.
anything you want to say about policy updates or?
No, policy updates, as always, these are provided to us by CSBA. We do not take any artistic liberties with these. And I think it's important to remember that the policies that we adopt, especially because our communities are so different, they don't reflect an opinion or a political stance or anything like that. They're designed to make us bulletproof in the face of litigation. And CSBA provides these to us because based on what they've seen in court, case law, and the changing California educational landscape, these are our best chance to be defensible when we're, when if we get sued, and it's not if, it's when. So these are our 3 policies. There'll be more next time. Patty's been one arm typing, and so it's hard to get these updated. So we'll play a little catch up over the next month, is my guess.
We can just take them as a whole, right?
Yes.
Move to approve.
Second.
First and a second, all of those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you, it passes. And under consent items, we have the July 17th, 2024 minutes from that board meeting. If you're comfortable, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Can't remember if I was present or not.
Still are?
Too long ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't there.
Okay, that's.
Okay, so we have a first and we have a second. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I'll abstain since I wasn't there.
Okay, and the August 14th meeting. That was, again, August 14th, 2024
Move
minutes.
to approve.
Good, first and second?
First.
Oh, sorry,
I'll second.
okay,
It was only the 3 of us.
okay. Great, we have a first and a second, all of those in favor?
I
Abstain.
Abstain.
Dave, you have to vote.
Oh, right, thought I did, aye. I voted in my head. Service contracts.
We have 5 today. California Ag Teacher Induction Program. It's just a way for the ag teachers to clear their credential that is relevant to the curriculum that they teach. Then we have our small business products service agreement for our copy machines. Great American Financial Services as copy releases for the entire district. Then we have Santander. This is the bus financing that I mentioned we're going to be bringing forward. So yearly payment $56,000. We finance those 2 buses at 5.1% interest. And if the state can figure out their budget and we have the opportunity to pay this off earlier, we will. And then Panorama Education is our MTSS curriculum instruction and monitoring tool. And this is for professional development, virtual workshops.
Are these two additional buses?
No, these are the two,
The two diesel
Yes.
buses from prior?
Yeah.
Okay. And so this is just to.
We
Crazy,
still
we
haven't
took
made a
delivery
payment
in
on them
May.
yet.
Yeah, we took
Um,
delivery
they're-
in May.
Yeah, there was a little back and forth about who was financing them.
Okay.
So we now have a legit finance company that we've been working with, and like Phil said, we've been working really hard trying to find, categorical funding to pay down principal on them. But no such luck. The state isn't going that great with us, so.
we're trying. So we have that, and you will see probably in the next month or two. An electric bus coming through. We did the electric bus program and we got a grant about $450,000. So we'll get an electric bus for, it'll probably cost us 40 or 50 grand out of pocket. So you can get something for 10 cents on the dollar worth that much. That's a good deal. And it's a generation 3 bus. So it might actually work.
Where do we charge it at?
Here or?
Part of the
There.
grant, part of the grant comes with a whole new charging station. So we technically, if we want to place in one of the other communities, we could install a charging station there because we have charging stations in Quincy as well. The Quincy routes are shorter. And so they generally are a little bit better because we can get it, Kyle said, with this bus, our terrain, our climate, in the winter, you get about 110 miles on a charge. Where in the valley, they're getting 300 miles. So we have to be very careful about where we put these buses on the road.
Short and without air conditioning.
Yeah. So not like Elmore.
Probably
Get around the lake.
We don't want to climb a lot of hills either.
That heater will suck it up. Awesome.
I'll move to approve the slate of contracts, service contracts.
Second.
First and a second, all of those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This time I voted. First time around. Check registers, please. Let's take a look at that. And we'll entertain a motion when you're full.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
There's a first and a second on our check registers for August of 2024. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And field trips, I believe we have, it's like, just looking at it, 12 field trips coming up.
Second.
There's a first and a second for those 12 field trips. All of those in favor?
Well, I have a question. What's in Anaheim?
I was just saying, I wish they would list which program.
So that's for the prevention team is taking, the 3 high school students that lead the peer, improvement groups to, this really awesome leadership opportunity in Anaheim.
Awesome. Is that something that we can adjust on here? Is like what the purpose
We were
of
just
the trip
talking
is?
about that.
We were
just
just-
like to add that column, so just for transparency.
I think it's something that maybe we can reach out to our school dude or whatever this is to add another field in there.
I mean, because most of it I knew, so that's why I was like, wait a minute, I don't recognize that one.
Yeah.
So, cool.
Go to Disneyland.
Stop.
Happiest place on.
That's right. Come October.
Did we get a first and a second on it? The big Disney?
I think we did. Yes, yeah, that makes sense,
but we didn't vote.
No.
Okay, there's no Disney, I was kidding. All those in favor?
I.
Aye. Okay.
We'll
You
see about
opposed?
that.
Motion carries. And we're headed off to closed session, so anybody wants to stay around later?
Are you gonna drink? Are you gonna come have some food with us?
Misty, what happened with this? I'm taking it during closed session,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I can.
Yes, close her down and we'll, yeah.
All good.
What is she making?
Something with garlic, something with garlic.